Hey everybody, happy Wednesday. I think it is. Happy hump day, I should say. Day number 44. What's our first card of the day? It's Cold Steel Heart. Pretty decent, man. 2 mana for a snow artifact that ETB's tapped. When it does so, you choose a color and you can tap it for a mana of the chosen color. Just solid, solid little rock right here. But that's about where it ends, man. I'm going to give this... How much do you give a 2 mana rock for Commander? Choose any color. Pretty good, man. God, it's tough. I already want to ask you guys, like, first card of the day, what do you rate Cold Steel Heart? But I think I'll save it. But of course, still feel free to rate Cold Steel Heart down there because I'm interested. I'm going to give this card a 6.1. So I'm like, it's probably better than that, honestly. 2 mana ramp is better than a 6.1. But I don't know, casual commander. We still playing this card? We still doing that? I don't think so. I think just in your snow decks, maybe it's your 2 mana ramper, but you know, it's just kind of fine. And 6.1 is, you know, better than average, but still just, you know, it's kind of fine. So I'm gonna go ahead and move on here to our next card of the day. It's Winged Shepherd, if you want to be pretentious. 6 mana, 5 and a white for a 3/3 angel with flying and vigilance. You can also cycle this for a white. That's pretty okay. When you really think about it, that's not that terrible, man. A single white mana to cycle a creature. Just any time you can pay 1 mana to cycle a creature, like, it's kind of okay. It's no Street Wraith, but like, it's fine. You know? So I'm gonna give this just 4.9. You know, I think it's close to like being pretty good, actually. There used to be a deck with Fluctuator like way back in the day, a million years ago, where Fluctuator makes all your cycling costs, you know, cost up to 2 less. And there are all these creatures that cost 2 to cycle. So they're basically free to cycle. So you just like, you know, cycle a creature, draw a creature, cycle that creature, draw a creature, cycle it until you have 20 guys in your graveyard. And then you can play, I think it's Haunting Misery, which does X damage to an opponent, X being the number of creatures in your graveyard. And that's how you'd win the game with Fluctuator. This, you actually can't do that with, not necessarily, because it costs an actual mana. Not 2 of any color, but a white mana. So like Fluctuator doesn't, you know, affect the cycling cost of this, but you could probably still sneak it into that deck if you wanted like as many creatures as possible to just Fluctuator your opponent out. But, you know, it's probably not actually that relevant even in the Fluctuator deck. So I'm still going to give it a 4.9 though. A mana to draw a card that can also be a flying body. Yeah, it's really not that bad, man. Dragon Skull Summit up next. It enters tapped unless you control a swamp or a mountain, and it taps for a red or a black. Just a wonderful, wonderful dual land. One of the better dual land cycles ever printed, I think. I really do, man. These are still like at least $1.50, sometimes 2 or more to grab. And there's a reason for that. These are, you know, relatively cheap, but still, everyone's ordering copies of them. So, you know, either that or they're just holding value because they're good dual lands. There's also that. But I'm going to give these a 7.9. That's a really good dual land, man. That is a super, super good dual land that basically ends up in every single commander deck, like still, if you're playing more than one color. It's a really good cycle. Oh, it's Tendrils of Corruption. Tendrils of Corruption is 4 mana, 3 and a black for an instant. It deals X damage to a creature, and a creature only, and you gain X life, X being the number of swamps that you control. First printed in Time Spiral, kind of a take on a bunch of other cards like it, kind of a corrupt variant, right? And I'm always going to like these. Every time I'm going to like it. Even though it costs 4 mana, I still really, really like this card, like way back in the day, man. So I'm going to give Tendrils, God, it's tough. I'm going to give Tendrils 5.3. Even though it's a 4 mana removal spell, I have way too much love for this card. I really do. I've cast it a bunch. I really have. Next is, it's Lonely Sandbar. These are good too. It ETB's tapped, it taps for a blue, and you can cycle it for a single blue mana as well. I still really like these. You don't see them in commander decks as often as you used to, but I'm still a huge fan of these, man. I'm going to give these like a straight 6.8, something like that. I think is probably right, just for most of this entire cycle. They only tap for 1 color and they enter tap, so like a basic's going to be better some of the time, but still cycling for a single mana, it's worth something. And like, this isn't even like, you know, I gave that angel a 4.9, but this just goes in your mana base, and that's like way, way less opportunity cost than having to play, you know, 6 mana, 3/3 flying vigilance. So yeah, these are just always going to be way better. Fantastic cards. And you can cycle them and bring them back with like splendid rec effects and stuff. Just always good, bro. But we'll move on to Enigma Spinx. Nice. This is 4 in Esper colors, a white, a blue, and a black for a 5/4 Sphinx. It's an artifact creature with flying. When it's put into your graveyard from the battlefield, put it into your library 3rd from the top. It also has Cascade. That means when you cast it, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land card that costs less than this card. You may cast it without paying its mana cost, but the exile cards at the bottom of your library in random order, so it's kind of like Discover if you're familiar with that standard mechanic. But, Cascade was broken for a number of reasons. They were mostly, cards like Bloodbraid Elf are the most famous, like Cascade cards. There were a few that saw a fair amount of play. And Sphinx was one in Commander that saw some play for a while. This is also a decent reanimation target way back in the day in Standard, but not one that saw all of the play in the world. But this is still a pretty iconic card, man, and I think it's still a decent card, too. Sometimes it'll hit a 1 or 2 drop, and you don't feel like super good about that. But, it's 7 mana, so it can hit 6 drops on occasion and just get you a ton of value. And then if your opponent does kill it, it's just going to come back, cascade something else up. Just a really, really nice piece of cardboard. So I'm going to give Enigma Spinx like a 5.5. Really expensive to cast, but just an amazing bomb of an ETB trigger, and it can be blinked and reanimated and all that stuff. So, fantastic card, man. Ire Shaman is up next. 2 mana, 1 and a red for a 2/1 Orc Shaman with Menace and, oh my goodness, Megamorph. A single red mana to do this ability. You can cast this face down as a 2/2 creature for 3 mana. Turn it face up anytime for its Megamorph cost, and then put a +1/+1 counter on it. When Shaman is turned face up, exile the top card of your library. Until end of turn, you may play that card. Not too bad, considering that it only costs a single red mana to Megamorph it, at which point you've spent 4 mana, but you get a 3/2 Menace. And a drawn card, which honestly, like, all things considered, isn't bad. I remember back in the day when a 2 mana 2/1 in red was like you just play that, like vanilla, 2 mana 2/1. You just play that. We've moved way beyond 1994 since then, you know what I mean? But still, when you see a 2 mana 2 power red creature with a keyword ability and the ability to sort of kind of draw a card a little bit, and she's also serving, I just want to throw that out there. She's a very weirdly attractive orc. But in any case, I'm going to throw a 4 point. Just give it a 4. I'll just throw a 4 at it, We'll say that much. But moving on is, it's Mind Flayer. I like Mind Flayer, man. 5 mana, 3 and 2 blue for a 3/3 horror. You can dominate monster. When Mind Flayer enters the battlefield, gain control of a creature for as long as you control Mind Flayer. I basically like all cards like this. Sower of Temptation, and even commanders like this, like Marieki Reberet and stuff like that. We've talked about cards like that here on the series before. I think Mind Flayer is so cool, man. Can I just get a normal version that doesn't have, like, weird stuff all over it? Yeah, there we go. That had the, like, D&D Forgotten Realms logo on it. This, on the other hand, just normal looking card. 18 cents for this, but it's a control magic on a body. You can blink it and get something better. You will give up the thing that you originally stole, but who cares? Nobody cares about that. I just like a body that gives you a body, right? So I don't think anybody's like playing this anytime soon, but I really like it in like underpowered or other cubes, I guess. So I can't give it too high of a score, but I am going to give it a 5.3. I'm so serious. It's not Agent of Treachery or anything, but these control magic effects on a body are always like a little better than people give them credit for. I'm a sucker. I like stealing creatures. I really like, ever since like I first started playing Magic and I read control magic, like, what does that mean? You control the creature? I already control the creature. And my buddy Kev was like, no, you put it on your opponent's creatures and then you control them. So you steal them from your opponent. You can attack and block and use their abilities and stuff. And I'm like, oh, so that's insane, right? And he was like, yes, actually, it is insane. So ever since then, I've just been partial to effects like this. Get Your Head in the Game is an uncard. I don't care about it then. Bargurt Brood is up next, originally printed in Magic Origins. 3 mana, 2 and a red for a 3/2 Gabo Warrior with Menace. So here we have a 3 mana, 3/2 Menace. We just looked at, well, it wasn't a 2 mana, it was like a 4 mana, 3/2 Menace after the Megamorph. But, this isn't good. This isn't good at all, actually. Why is it on the list? Like, why did they waste a list slot on this card? I'm just not sure. But I have to give this like a 2. We'll just go with 2 on this bad boy right here. I think that's probably what it deserves. Stalking Yeti up next. Only ever printed in Cold Snap. Art by Brian Snuddy. I like it a lot. I like Brian Snuddy. This is Snowdy. This is a 4 mana, 2 and 2 red for a 3/3 Snow Yeti. When it comes into play, if it's in play, it deals damage equal to its. When it comes into play, if it's in play, it deals damage equal to its power to target creature an opponent controls, and that creature deals damage equal to its power to Stalking Yeti. So it fights a creature when it comes into play. If it's in play. I guess that makes sense, right? If they remove it in response to the ability, then it can't fight anything. That's how that works. So yeah, it comes into play, fight something. You can also pay 2 and a snow and return it to its owner's hand at sorcery speed. It's super cute. I remember this card being a thing in Cold Snap Draft. Now that I'm sort of, my brain is booting up and remembering this card a little bit. This is actually kind of cool. Coming to play and fight something it's all right. You know, I don't hate that. I'm going to give this card a 5.1. Because coming to play and fight something is, you know, better than the average, like, garbage draft Magic card. This isn't a garbage draft Magic card. It's just a draft Magic card. Unless you're building Yetis. You want to build Yetis? I guess you can. What's stopping you? The fact there's only 1 or 2 ever in Magic? Probably. Actually, that'll be the last thing we do today. Let's go to advanced search. Typeline Yeti. Not Yeti. Yeti. So let's search with these options. Oh, wow. We actually have like a page. There's 14 Yetis. Dude, you could build Yetis. You actually could build Yetis. And like your commander is Isu because it's a legend. We're going to do this. Actually, your commander can't be Isu. What the heck is your commander? Some sort of changeling that's like Teamer? Yeah, it has to be Teamer. They're all Teamer colors. I had no idea there were so many Yetis. I guess you learn something every day. Anyway, that's all the cards for today. Bye. Always forget to press record. I have to press record, everybody. I have another chance to say bye to you, though. Bye.